Okay, so I just acquired this dual piston caliper from the recycling yard, and planning on doing a rebuild here. I think one of the advantages of getting a used caliper is that you're not in need of sending the caliper back and having your money being taken hostage until you ship that core back. On the downside, you don't have a caliper that's ready to go and have that convenience factor. Caliper bolts and other hardware such as the phenolic pistons, the bushings, and rubber parts are going to be replaced here. I kind of lucked out in that these caliper slide pins weren't jammed in there. You just never know what you're going to get from a recycling yard, but I was fortunate here to get one where the caliper slide pins weren't rusted in, which is obviously a problem with a lot of the caliper slides, so it came out pretty easily. What I use to soak the calipers in is a 50-50 mix of just some white vinegar from store, the dollar store or something like that is fine. It all works really well. Let them soak overnight and come back and start working on them again. Actual caliper housing, I did a soap and water mix in there and then continued on with the soaking of the caliper bracket. I used some compressed air with the brake line to dislodge the pistons and put a board to prevent them from popping all over the place. Worked out well. What can happen with the phenolic pistons is the metal ring on top actually can trap moisture in there, and what happens is you get micro cracks underneath and can deteriorate the piston itself. So I'm going to be replacing these. Even though I use the bench grinder, I felt that the Dremel tool was really necessary to get this job done. Wanted to get a sharper edge on my bit so that I could knock out this bushing a little bit easier, so just put a little bit of an edge on it. This particular caliper has a pressed-in style dust boot, so basically just pry that out. I used that awesome cleaner and After I was finished, I used some sodium bicarbonate just to neutralize it, but back with the wire brush again, and did another soaking with the vinegar. To get into the brake caliper mounting, I used a Dremel 541 wheel and also a couple other bits to get in there. The drum, usually around the outside of the caliper area and caliper bracket. The nylon bottle brushes came in really handy getting inside the caliper slide pin bore, and I used some rubbing alcohol to clean up that area once I was done. So finally got around to doing the etching primer on the outside, and after that I did a painting with the actual caliper, BHT caliper paint. They say to bake them in the oven for 1 hour at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm just applying some silicone up towards the top there, and I'm going to be inserting these bushings with a shake and brake with a 5/8 inch socket, and using my air gun to do so. Okay, so a health and safety tip, with the grinder and everything, you want to be using some decent gloves, dust mask. This is by 3M. It has a nice filter on there, actually 2 filters. These type will not suffice. Just a paper filter is not good enough for your painting. These are probably less than $10 online. Paint preferably outside, good ventilated area, or inside if you have a ventilation system. It does the trick. Save yourself a lot of breathing problems. Go ahead and put one on. Be safe. Okay, so I wanted to try an alternative method with a plastic pry bar, and if you can do that, that's great. I just wanted to show in reference to the where that seal fits and the lower O-ring there. So I used a variety of different abrasive style buffers on the inside to clean up, and that's before cleaning, and inside the bore area, trying to get some of that debris out of there, and also that's after cleaning the square O-ring area for the brake O-ring. I took a cereal box and cut out some circles for the painting, and worked out pretty well. It was the right thickness, and after that I went ahead and baked them just like the caliper brackets, and they came out nicely. This is red rubber grease, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of that around the O-ring the square O-ring and insert that into the holes there. I put some in the channels where they're going to sit as well. It's just showing a reference point as far as where that is going to seat the dust boot seal, and I am putting some red rubber grease on the inside actually, and just kind of massaging that through there to make a decent seal. And that's I want to lubricate that pretty well, and go ahead and seat that onto the caliper piston. Right to the edge, just right about to the edge there. These are not secured with a circlip or a C-clip or anything like that. They're press fit, and actually started to run into a little bit of a problem as far as fitting them on there, but they go in fairly easily. Just go straight in with the piston, and with a little bit of persuasion they'll slide in there. A little bit of rocking back and forth is fine, but don't try to twist these whatsoever. And this is where things start to get a little bit squirrely as far as you know, actually fitting the dust boots into place. And so I had to come up with something else to figure out how I'm going to get these in here. I tried using an old bearing from another car to fit these in place, and also a Miller type style tool, but it actually ripped a couple of boots, so I'm going to try something here. So there's a lower lip area where the dust boot needs to reside, and I came up with an idea of getting a scutcheon ring, 60 millimeter, and first seating the ring on top of the dust boot, and using the Miller tool 9314 with the driver, and giving it the final blow on top of the dust boot to make it seal in its position there. Plan on replacing the associated hardware for the brake lines, and if you're in need of the red rubber grease, you want to give it a try, give Robert a call at Kirk's Auto. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your projects.